Hi, my name is Angelo Lopez. I'm a Filipino-American editorial cartoonist based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I'm honored today to be speaking to Tom Harris. Now, Tom is the pastor of First Presbyterian Church in Palo Alto, California, and he's also pastored in churches in Michigan, South Carolina, and Maryland. So today we'll be talking about the Presbyterian Church, Tom's career as a pastor, and the joys of being a vegan. So thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you, Angelo. I'm so excited to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Oh, yeah, sure. And I wanted to show you this. This is a vegan donut.
Oh.
I got it at Vegan Bistro at 449 East Santa Clara Street in downtown San Jose. So I wanted just to let you know that, I wanted to eat a vegan donut in honor of our talk today.
That's amazing. I love that place. And whenever I'm nearby, I'll stop and go there.
Oh, okay.
They also have a great banh mi shop in the same store.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. This is the first time I went. I was just looking yesterday. I was looking online for vegan donuts and stuff, and it just happened. It's like 15-minute drive from my place, so it's not too far. Yeah. So
wow. A good vegan donut is hard to find. A lot of times they're just cake in the shape of donuts. It's hard to find a good yeasted fried vegan donut, and that place has them.
Oh, okay. Well, I was lucky then. Oh, okay. Well, here, let me ask my first question to you. How did you become a Presbyterian, and what led you to becoming a pastor?
Well, there wasn't very much conscious choosing on my part in becoming a Presbyterian. A friend invited me to a youth group in high school, and it was to a Presbyterian church. I really liked youth group. I don't think I had any concept of what Presbyterianism was or how it was different than any other denomination. But I really enjoyed the Bible study. I enjoyed the singing. I enjoyed the programmed social activities because I was an awkward teenager, and giving me social activities that have rules that you game kids. It was great. And so I really enjoyed that. And then when I went to college a couple years later, I just said, well, I'll go look for the Presbyterian Student Association on campus, the college group. And I did, and I walked in and met the friends I would have for the next 4 years. And so in none of that time was I well, maybe I should try Baptist, or maybe I should try UCC. I was just, it was just kind of what I knew.
Yeah.
And I struggled with some of the theology, but I never considered trying something else. And then, in college, you're trying to think, what do I want to do for a career? And becoming a pastor was a very rational choice for me. It was not, I heard a voice from God or light from
There was
heaven.
no flame
Nope,
burning bush
no
or
burning
anything.
bush. No. I was just like, okay, look, I love the Bible. I love church. I love people. I love helping people. I'm a pretty good public speaker.
Yeah.
Um, I should be, maybe I'll be a pastor. And I went to seminary, and I really spent the first 20 years of my career um, questioning whether I really wanted to do this, whether I still wanted to be a pastor, and um, thought about leaving a number of times, but never really had the opportunity. And
Yeah, yeah.
then I finally just kind of settled into it. It's like, no, this is what I'm trained in. This is what I know, and I enjoy it. I'm going to stay with it.
Oh, okay. So it was a conscious choice. It wasn't I don't some people say they got moved by the spirit and stuff. So okay.
No, it was very much a conscious choice. Like, what do I do after college? And this seems like a reasonable choice.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that's sort of the way I pick churches and stuff. I just I'm gonna try this and see if it feels good and stuff. But yeah, I've stuck to First Presbyterian, but I actually don't know much about the Presbyterian denomination and stuff. I think because the early church is very interdenominational and stuff. There's a lot of people from very many different faiths. So
Yeah.
okay.
Well, we've got a new prospective member gathering coming up in August. You could attend and learn a little bit more about Presbyterianism.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure, 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 sure. I'll try. Do it. Send me a message though, because I'm doing a lot of stuff, so I might forget. No,
Okay.
actually, I know I'll forget. So,
Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah, okay. My next question. When you did become pastor, you first served in a rural church in Deckerville, Michigan,
Mhm.
and then after that, you served in a church in um, you know, um, Charleston, South Carolina, a suburban community, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What's the difference between a rural community and uh, and serving in a suburban community?
Well, I mean, the people in Deckerville in the rural community, I mean, it sounds a little cliche, but you really are more connected to the land. I
Uh,
mean, the main, it was a town of 1,000 people. The main uh, industry was farming,
yeah,
um, or teaching. So being a public school teacher was a job that a lot of people had,
yeah,
or being a factory worker. And there were a lot of auto parts factories,
yeah,
like really specific kinds of factories. Like there was a factory that made the wire bundles that go under power seats in some cars.
yeah,
But I mean, still, I mean, the farming was everywhere. Harvest, everybody knew when harvest was and what was
yeah,
happening. Everybody talked about the weather. Hunting was a big part of the culture. So I mean, there was a feeling of connection to the land. Everybody in that community had gone to kindergarten together, like they'd grown
uh,
up together. You
okay,
you were born there, you often stayed there. Not everybody, people would leave, but a lot of people would stay.
yeah,
Um, and so suburban life was none of that. Suburban life, you didn't have that connection to the land. It was, Charleston was much more a larger city, obviously, and so there was lots of people that would come and go for different reasons. Nobody grew up together.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, and yeah, so it was had a very different feel to it. And in some ways that's freeing. Like
yeah,
not, everybody in town doesn't know everything about you.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a good thing, or can be a good thing. But yeah, there is a lot to be said for rural life that I miss.
Oh, okay. Did it give you insight? I mean, one of the problems in this country right now is the rural, urban divide and stuff. Yeah, did you have insights into that kind of situation that, I've never lived in rural area, so a lot of times I'm kind of baffled, but I'm wondering if it's just because I'm not conversant in that kind of rural community where maybe since you serve there, you may have some insights I don't have.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of it has to do. Well, there's probably a couple factors. One is that I mean, I mentioned the big industries, the big ways that people make a living.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you take one of those away, which is
Okay.
what happened, we took factory factory jobs away from a lot of those folks.
Yeah.
What do you do? I mean, how do you live? How do you feed your family?
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. Racial diversity, there wasn't racial diversity. Like,
Yeah.
sure, there were a couple of people of color in the community, but they were, there were so few that the white people couldn't be intimidated by them, right?
Uh,
They just everybody who knew who they were, all the white people knew who they were,
yeah.
and they had their place, unlike when a suburban play area or an urban area where we people don't quite know all each other.
Yeah.
And I think people fall into racially categorizing people a lot more.
Okay.
One thing I'll say is about Deckerville in the rural area was if you were willing to put in a hard day's work, they valued you.
Uh,
Hard work was really valued. Um,
okay.
so yeah, and so I think that's part of it. I'd say the job issue and the racial issue. I mean, if you can then make those folks afraid of people of color by showing them images on TV and saying this is what's happening in LA and it's
Yeah.
scary, they don't have anything else to compare that to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's a powerful tool right now to sway, those whole populations of people is with
They
media.
just don't have a frame of reference.
The media, yeah, they don't have anything to compare it to.
Oh, okay. Were you more connected to Deckerville though? Because I mean, since it's such a small community, you really get to, is it easier being a pastor in a rural community, or is it easier, or is it just that there's different challenges, I guess?
Easier or harder, but it was a nice life. I mean, my,
Okay.
my wife didn't like it. She was raising our infant son,
Yeah.
and she and I had not grown up there. And so we didn't have a real social support network.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a very isolating place for people who didn't grow up there.
Uh,
But in terms of, the fresh air, the slow pace of life,
yeah.
um, you know, it was a small church. That was all very, very kind of enjoyable.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah. You know,
The 6 or 7 months of winter was not great. I didn't love that.
okay. Did you have to put salt in the roads and stuff, or?
Um,
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. I don't know much about that. It's just I had a friend who moved to Boston and he was telling me it's terrible for your car because
yeah.
in wintertime they got the salt and the salt goes underneath the car. I don't know if that's true, but yeah.
No, it is.
Okay. But it's good for I guess it's good for the industry because if your car gets damaged, you have to buy parts.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So, okay. Well, after that, you spent 17 years in Govan Presbyterian Church
Yeah.
in Baltimore,
Mhm.
Maryland. Um, Compared to the rural and the suburban, what was it like serving in a big city?
Well, Baltimore, I think, was probably the most racial diversity I'd ever seen.
Oh, okay.
Um, I grew up in the beach in Florida.
Oh,
White. I went to Clemson, South Carolina, when there was racial diversity there, but it was mostly white. I went to seminary in San Anselmo, Marin County, California. There was some racial diversity there, but again, mostly white there.
yeah.
Deckerville, mostly white. Charleston had, racial diversity, but it was pretty segregated too.
Oh,
Um, and so you get to Baltimore, and obviously segregation is still a problem there, but there are a lot more people of color, a lot more Black people.
yeah.
And so I had a big learning curve. It's like, okay, I'm not used to this. And
Yeah.
I got to learn about a lot more about Black culture,
Oh,
and history, both the positive and the negative parts of Black history. Um, got to worship with at Black churches.
Yeah.
So that was a big eye-opening experience for me, and a real growth experience,
Yeah.
which was great. Um, the other fun thing about a city is the sports teams.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Never
yeah.
lived in a city that had its own sports teams, and of course, Baltimore has the Ravens and the Orioles.
Yeah.
And it's so great because everybody knows the team, even
Yeah.
if you're not a big sports fan.
Yeah.
Um, you can talk to just about anybody on the street about how the Orioles are doing or how the Ravens are doing. It's fun, and Baltimore's just a perfect size too. Like
Yeah.
here in the Bay Area, it's bigger than Baltimore was. Baltimore's like just big enough to support two teams,
Oh,
but it's not so big that it just becomes part of the background.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
everybody talks about the Ravens and the Orioles in Baltimore.
Well, they had that past history when they had the Colts, right? Because they had Unitas, right? So, yeah, so that's pretty cool. I'm wondering,
Yeah.
is the Chesapeake an important part of Maryland too, or because I was born in Virginia and stuff, so is there a lot of Navy people there in Baltimore or no?
No, it wasn't a big presence in my experience.
Okay, okay,
But the Chesapeake Bay is an incredible resource and
yeah,
beloved, and comes right into the inner harbor of Baltimore.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a big part of the identity of the area.
Okay, okay. Do people have that kind of because I know in Boston they have that accent and stuff. Is there a Baltimore accent or no?
There is a Baltimore accent. I can't do it for you, except I can do except
Okay.
I can do wooder. Instead of water, they say wooder,
Oh, okay.
wooder, and they say hun. Like hun is a big thing, like in term of endearment. You call anybody hun. You can call a man hun, a woman hun. Uh,
Oh,
Men don't usually call each other hun, um, but that was fun. Yeah, there's a Baltimore accent for sure.
oh, okay, okay. Lots of when I was in Boston, I was surprised. When from the airport to the hotel, every block there was a Dunkin' Donuts and
Yeah,
stuff. Is that true with Maryland too, or
yeah, yeah.
oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I tried it and stuff. Because I was wondering why and stuff. So on the last day of my trip to Boston, I went to the store to eat a donut. It was good, but it wasn't anything special. So I was wondering, but I just kept thinking maybe it's a culture thing that the people in the East Coast just love donuts and stuff. So
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's just a capitalist thing. It's
oh
a quick breakfast. Grab a coffee and a donut or a coffee and a biscuit.
yeah.
And Dunkin' Donuts won the market for that.
Oh. Yeah. Well, you were there for 17 years, right? And stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah. Did you, was it hard to leave? I mean, or
it was. It was hard to leave the people. I realized after I got here that here in California, that I didn't love the weather there.
oh, okay.
I didn't love the place.
Oh,
um,
okay. Okay.
but I did love the people very much, and it was very hard to leave them, and hard to leave the church. I'd served for 17 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it similar to Michigan or is it
Mhm.
I actually don't know. I've been to the East Coast, but I've never been to Michigan. So is it
So
I assume Michigan's colder, right?
it
Or
is. Michigan
okay.
is further north, and much colder, longer winters.
Huh.
Baltimore's really nice in terms of seasons. It's got a nice balance of seasons. Each one's about 3 months, which is kind of
Yeah.
what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Um, the summers can be really hot and humid, and so
Yeah.
that's not pleasant. But the winters don't last long. It doesn't always snow every winter. Some
Oh,
winters you go without any snow.
yeah.
Some winters you get a big snowstorm. It just depends.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I think I was there. There's lots of beaches, right?
In the eastern shore of Maryland. So on
Oh,
the other side of the Chesapeake Bay, there's the beach. Baltimore really isn't close to a beach. It's about 2.5 hours drive to a beach.
oh, okay. 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 I'm gonna have to look at it in a map.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's partly because of the Chesapeake Bay that it's hard to get to a beach. You have to get to a bridge to get across the Chesapeake to get there.
Oh, Chesapeake is mostly marshlands, right?
No, I mean there's a lot of marsh, but it's also a big wide bay, navigable bay.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I'll have to go there and say because I know my wife, I visited I was born in Norfolk,
Mhm.
and I in Virginia. And so after Norfolk, we went to Delaware because she has an aunt there, and she's there's a popcorn place, that serves caramel popcorn. She lives next to the store that has the caramel. I forget what it's called. Every Christmas, we used to get these buckets. Popcorn. We saw that we knew it was her and stuff. So
Yeah.
we spent like 3 months eating that bucket. We liked it and stuff, but yeah, it's just we were never surprised and stuff. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So well, now you're here and stuff. How have you? It's been a year now. Is it a year or a year and a
About a
half?
year and a half, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. I, what have you most enjoyed about First Presbyterian?
Well, the people are amazing. I mean, the people are just so gung-ho and excited and open to change and open to new things.
Yeah,
Um, and I mean, very much love the people at Govans and in Baltimore.
yeah,
Um, but there was a resistance to change. Um, there's a lot more openness to change, and I don't know what to attribute that to exactly,
uh,
except maybe just for the recent history here at First Presbyterian of experiencing a kind of a period of long, slow decline,
yeah,
and then a number of different pastoral transitions before I got here, and then sort of when I got here, they're like, "Let's go! What are we going to do? We're ready."
yeah,
So that's been good, but also they're a very activist congregation,
yeah,
uh, an activist congregation that is aging, and some of them aren't able to do what they used to be able to do.
yeah,
Well, on the other hand, others are still, well into their 80s, just going strong, you know, fighting the power.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's just a beautiful blend, and everybody's friendly and kind and welcoming.
yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy the church.
Yeah, I love the church too and stuff. The only thing is, I think, because I help my dad and stuff after early church, I tend to go to my dad's or just sometimes I'm just lazy. I kind of, but I will try to, when I do have time, I will try to attend a little bit more and stuff. So
Okay, I love that.
yeah, but yeah, first things though, even though I've been in early church for around 10 years, early church is I don't think early church is really it's more like a Bible study than a church service, right? So I still don't have a good sense of the presbytery, but I've been lazy, in these 10 years I could have done research and stuff. I just haven't stuff. So
Yeah,
but, yeah, but I like it too. I like the activism and everybody's pretty friendly to me and stuff, for the most part. I think it's just time, in order to build deep relationships and stuff like that, and to get to know the church more intimately. I just need time and stuff,
yeah,
and I don't always have the time and stuff.
yeah. Yeah, and we're in that sandwich generation.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. Do you have children?
No, but I do have 10 nieces and stuff. So
Well, the sandwich generation is when you have kids in your house and you're taking care of them, and you're also taking care of your aging parents.
yeah, yeah,
And so you're in the middle, and you're very much taking care of your aging parents.
yeah,
I think it's something that is new. I don't think previous generations had to take care of their parents to the extent that we do today.
yeah, yeah,
I think people, because of medical advances,
yeah,
people can be kept alive much longer, and in poor health for a very long time.
yeah, yeah,
I think in the old days, folks would have died a long time ago, and we wouldn't have been having, we would miss them, but we also wouldn't have the burden of caring for them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think with my parents, yeah, because when I talk to people my own age, we all talk about the same thing, caregiving and stuff. But yeah, I know that's a sort of generational thing that I notice and stuff is I'm kind of an Asian nerd. right?
Yeah.
And I think like a nerd and stuff. So I have to find and I have to find I found people who love movies. So I found movie buffs in the church and stuff. But who are nerdy Presbyterians who like Star Wars or I need to find that space. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I notice in my screen, I sometimes get darker and I sometimes get lighter.
Yes.
I'm not sure why that's happening and stuff, but yeah, if I do get darker, my dark side is not showing and stuff.
I think it happens when you maybe when you lean back and then that light behind you somehow takes over.
Oh, yeah, I don't really know. It's like because I just noticed it and stuff, and I was thinking, yeah, I don't know why that's happening because the light here is pretty much the same and
Yeah.
stuff. So, but yeah, hey, I'm curious, what's your biggest surprise living
Here,
here?
here at First Presbyterian Palo Alto.
Yeah.
Um, hmm. Well, the openness to change is still a surprise. Though this isn't really about the church specifically, but the weather is a big surprise.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing. It's just incredible weather all the time, except
Yeah.
for like a few months out of the year.
You
Uh,
don't miss the winters.
I do not miss the winters at all.
Have you been to the hikes in the Bay? Have you?
Uh, just a couple, not not,
Oh,
not too much. Yeah,
okay.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, I like hiking and I've enjoyed some hiking.
Yeah.
Another surprise, again, I in Baltimore, I sort of cut my teeth on racial justice and that became a very big part of my ministry. And that's part of why they hired me here because I was doing anti-racist work in Baltimore and Palo Alto wanted to do anti-racist work.
Yeah.
Uh, but I've been surprised at how different the conversation about race is here.
Uh,
Um, in Baltimore, it was very much about anti-Black racism.
yeah.
uh, with the history of slavery, with Baltimore and its history in the Civil War, um, the Great Migration from the South to the North,
Yeah.
um, redlining, all of these things. But it was very much about discrimination against Black people, even though there was diversity, immigrants of all kinds in Baltimore. The dominant conversation was Black and white. And
Yeah.
here it's just not. I mean, it's just so much more nuanced and complex. There's so much racial diversity
Yeah.
that in most places there's not a majority, or you don't have to go too far and you're in a different majority.
Yeah.
Um, and each racial group or ethnic group has a different history and story and experience with white supremacy.
Yeah.
Um, and that makes it a lot more complex and nuanced to talk about.
Yeah. There is some history of anti-Black racism and like you can find some of that in Oakland
Oh,
or
sure. Yeah.
maybe or I don't know, but I know there's always been issues between Palo Alto and East Palo Alto, but
Sure.
but I don't know how I don't know if that's anti-Black or more anti-Hispanic and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure because I don't know the makeup of East Palo Alto very well and stuff. But in the 80s and stuff, there were problems. But I my experience is more anti Asian American and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you know
Which is its own thing, right? It's its own kind of racism.
yeah and stuff. But there's issues with like for Filipino Americans who came here because of martial law, or for Cambodians who came here because of the Khmer Rouge,
Mhm.
or Chinese various Chinese people would come for different reasons and stuff. But you know, yeah, it's different with each group too. And for Japanese Americans, the history of
Yeah.
the internments and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, the tough thing with Asian Americans is it's Asian Americans is such a broad thing within Asian American culture and stuff. We've always had to we butted up against the model minority myth and stuff.
Mhm.
Whereas there's actually and there are wealthier and upper class Asian Americans, but there's a lot of poor too and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, but good luck.
Yeah.
Trying
Thanks.
to put
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I mean, but I
Yeah,
found that, I mean, one thing that's the through line, the thread through it all is white supremacy, right? So the America is a white supremacist culture, and
yeah,
we're all, no matter what race you are, what ethnicity, you're gonna butt up against that. You're gonna experience it every day, and
yeah,
that's also true for white people. White people have to figure out how their response is to white supremacy.
yeah. And
And
white supremacy is not actually very good for poor whites
oh no, it's
and
not.
stuff. It actually that was one of I'm fairly left wing in my politics, but I'm very much of that. I always feel like an obsolete leftist, because my politics is based on stuff I read in books and some of my experiences. But I've always I'm focused on that. How do you build a multiracial coalition of working class whites, minorities, and the poor? And that's A. Philip Randolph, Bobby Kennedy,
Mhm.
Bayard Rustin. That's a very that's a specific type of left. Which I sometimes wonder if it's obsolete because the working class whites with Trump, and I'm wondering if it's still possible to build. But I was telling Byron is that I can't. I have a hard time thinking out of that box because almost all of my heroes we're trying to forge that multiracial coalition, and a lot of my experiences in terms of politics was when I was in SEIU, so I have a strong leaning towards unions and stuff. So and it's but yeah, I'm sometimes when I listen to my niece, she's younger than me, and her politics is fairly progressive, but sometimes I have no idea what she's talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
you know, I was like, gosh,
yeah,
why do I feel like a cranky old leftist?
right, yeah.
But yeah, but I think it's just in Baltimore, was it easier in the sense because since it's anti-black racism,
Mhm.
that's you can really focus on that.
Yeah.
In here, Latinos or it's harder because we're so diverse and
No,
stuff.
I don't. Yeah, I was thinking about this because I knew you were going to ask the question, but I don't know if easier is the right word, but
Oh, okay.
simpler, or like um easier to talk about, but
Yeah,
it's no easier to overcome.
yeah,
Easier to talk about, maybe.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, but I mean, just like you're saying, the whole model minority thing,
Mhm.
that adds a complexity and a nuance to conversations about racism.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I chose to be an artist and stuff, and so many an Asian American parent would be very disappointed in me.
Right.
I was lucky to have the parents I did and stuff. So, but yeah, but I don't know. Here,
Mhm.
I'm gonna check in my time. It says we have 8 minutes left and stuff. I'm gonna ask this question, but if you don't want, if you want to talk more after the 8 minutes and stuff, when we go to the next video, you can continue and stuff. So, okay, but are you finished with this question or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, what are your big concerns about Trump's second term?
Mhm.
And this is a two-part question. The second part is what is a Christian way of responding to Trumpism?
Mhm. Well, I mean, my concerns are basically all the worst case scenarios that people are worried about, I think are ex extremely likely at this point. I mean, all the things that people throw around, end to democracy, authoritarian state, police state, fascism, I think it's all on the table right now. Especially with this latest bill that got passed that increased ICE's funding by so much.
Yeah,
Um, I think we hit this perfect storm of Republican Congress, a Republican president with Trump's charisma, unfortunately, and Republican Supreme Court, and I think they all know that they could run the table,
yeah,
and they could literally stay in power indefinitely. I think I don't want to be an alarmist, but I think they want a one party system, and I think that's what we're heading to. Um, we have the midterms coming up.
Yeah.
Um, that may be our last best hope, or things may get so bad before we get there that they postpone the elections. I mean, I think anything's on the table right now. I think
Yeah.
it's very, very troubling where we are right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I share the same fears and stuff. In this first term, I was focused on the Philippines and Duterte because I was worried about Trump, but I felt safe and stuff. But I think the second term is where I'm starting to feel, because a lot of what I saw in the Philippines, I'm seeing now in America.
Mhm.
Does that make sense and stuff? But I don't know. My thought, I guess because I have a few anti-Trump or conservative friends and stuff, I was always hoping that they'd take over, they'd be able to at least fight.
Mhm.
But it seems like they got overwhelmed and stuff, I respect them and stuff. A lot of the theories I had turned out not to be true, In this first time, I was hoping that the anti-Trump Republicans can somehow regain the party. That didn't turn out to be true.
Mhm.
I was hoping that January 6th would disillusion a lot of Republicans towards Trump. That didn't turn out to be true. A lot of, I don't know. I'm always saying I'm baffled. I think that's part of the reason I'm scared and stuff is just, I don't understand this.
Mhm.
Does that make sense or?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, from what you've seen in the Philippines and in history, you understand authoritarianism.
Yeah.
I mean, is it like you don't want to admit that that's what's happening here?
I think part of it's personal. I think because I used to have close conservative friends
Mhm.
and the loss, you know, you, you know, from seeing me as, being able to relate to each other while respecting our differences to there's some sort of switch that happened.
Mhm.
I think because it's sort of intimate, the loss of the friendships
Yeah.
hurt and
Yeah.
stuff. And I think part of it's yeah, you're right. I probably understand it better than I want to admit and
Mhm.
stuff. Does that make sense? You
No,
know,
but I mean, I hear you saying that it's the personal level. I think that's true. It's like I understand like conceptually how this works, but how can you, this person that I know and or thought I
yeah,
knew, how can you go along with it?
yeah, yeah. I think that's the thing with me is just, and especially I used to have close conservative friends and stuff. A
Mhm.
lot of, and even though we disagreed and stuff, because I remember what they were saying about Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky,
Mhm.
you know, and now seeing a few of them go for Trump, this doesn't make sense to me and stuff,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
it's not rational at all. It's hypocritical, unfortunately.
yeah. Have some friendships been affected from your standpoint or no?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I guess I didn't have a very diverse friend group before.
Yeah. Well, I think um I went to an Asian American church in the 90s and stuff. It was not all conservative Christians, but there was a large contingent of conservative Christians in this Asian American church and stuff. But um, and it was during Clinton, so I was probably the most liberal person in that church at that time. Most of the Democrats at that church were centrists,
Mhm.
Clinton centrists and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're asking about something about the Asian Americans who are conservative. They tend to be conservative for different reasons. So
Mm.
for Vietnamese Americans, because of their experience with totalitarian communism in the Vietnam War, they drift. Many of them drifted towards whichever party was the most anti-communist, and then that
Oh,
was the
mm.
Republican Party.
Oh.
Or for some Filipinos, there's a more traditionalist Catholic,
Mhm.
and the more
Well,
not the more progressive Catholics, but the more traditionalist Catholics tended to go towards the Republican Party because of socialism. There's different reasons why some Asian Americans went, and for some it was because of fiscal conservatism and stuff. So
well,
there's different reasons and stuff, but
the fiscal conservative hasn't panned out.
yeah, it hasn't. No, it doesn't make sense. See, this is another thing. How can you add $3 trillion to the deficit and call yourself a fiscal conservative?
Yeah.
So, oh, okay. I'm curious about something. Does being in an activist church help you cope with Trump in a way?
Um, I don't know. I mean, in some sense, I'm just trying to help the congregation discern what each of us feels called to do. And I think each of us feels called to do different things.
Yeah,
I was there's a big contingent in our church who wants to march and go to rallies and organize to elect new people.
yeah,
And I think that's great. And I think that's one way that Christians can respond right now.
yeah,
I was just preaching this morning on Revelation chapter 13,
yeah.
in which the dragon calls forth these beasts out of the sea, and the first beast is the empires of the world,
Mhm.
and the second beast is like the propaganda machine of the empires of the world. Um, and I think Revelation, the author of Revelation would say that really there's no way you can fight the empire. You can do what you can to try to tame it, try to cage the beast, but ultimately the best thing for Christians to do is try to form kind of some kind of alternative community,
Okay.
to try to say, we can't defeat the empire. We can try sort of to make a little pocket of resistance. We can
Yeah,
try to create a little community where we live by different values.
yeah.
And I think that's another very legitimate Christian response to Trump, is to try to do that.
Okay.
And that's actually what I feel more called to right now. I was just telling the congregation this morning, I'll show up for the rallies, I'll march, I'll wave the signs.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm really looking at how can we as a community do something different? How can we as a community provide an alternative
Yeah, yeah,
to what the empire is offering, to what's being offered right now in America?
yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just know that, usually a lot of times with authoritarianism, they try to make whoever's the autocrat or they try to make you feel alone and stuff. And it's, being in First Presbyterian, I want it's nice to be in a group of like-minded people,
Yeah,
so um, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Because I was thinking about it and stuff. Because I struggle with that. How do I respond in a Christian way to Trumpism and stuff? And oftentimes I sometimes when I respond, I'm not always my best self. And then I kick myself for that and stuff, and I regret it and stuff. But then a similar situation happens, and you know, um, how sometimes something brings out the worst in you and
yeah,
stuff. And I don't want to be that bitter, always outraged person and stuff,
right,
because that brings out the worst in me and stuff. And I'm always wondering, like, how, how can I be how can I be a better person than I am now? How do I not give in to Trump's attempts to bring out the worst in me?
right. And I think that's exactly the right question. And we I think one of Christianity's answers to that is nonviolence.
Yeah,
How can we cultivate in ourselves a spirit of nonviolence? How can we practice nonviolence in our thinking, in our speech, in our actions? Um, I think that's critical to that alternative community that I was talking about, is, you know, because if we act violently, or if we act in bitter ways and resentful ways, we become that which we are
yeah,
trying to overcome.
yeah. We become the monsters we're trying to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm hoping that, when I get tested, I'll be better. I'll do better than I.
Um, I think one of the things I want to do here at the church is create like a study group, not more than a study group, but one of the components is going to be a real intentional study of nonviolence and
Yeah.
nonviolent practice.
Okay. Okay. Good luck. Yeah. Well, I mean, related to that question, do you is how does Christian nationalism affect the church?
Well, one thing is it just gives the church a really bad name. I mean, if non-Christians or general public, many of them, when they think of Christianity, think of it as synonymous with Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem. I mean, it's a huge problem for us to overcome, to always be saying, but we're not that kind of Christian. We're Christian, but we're not that kind of Christian. And then you have to really be able to show what makes you
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it a big problem in the Presbyterian Church
I
or
don't
is it?
have a huge problem. The Presbyterian Church in general has shifted far enough to the left that it's not a huge problem. I mean, I know in individual churches throughout the country,
Yeah.
there are Christian nationalists, there are very Trump supporters, there are conservative people. And so a lot of pastors are in a very difficult position of trying to navigate
Yeah.
preaching to a very divided congregation.
Mhm.
Um, that's not a problem we have at Palo Alto. We are on the same page when it comes to that.
Yeah, yeah. But one of the things I've always thought is that you can be conservative and be anti-Trump and stuff. You don't have to be progressive. All political ideologies need to be anti-Trump.
I agree.
Oh, hold on. I think there's a call. Let me hold on.
Right.
Yeah, sorry about that. That's
No
what
problem.
that was. Supposedly I was calling the phone, but I can't be calling the phone. It's not here. So, but yeah. But okay, I know it's. I'm an ex-Catholic, but I'm knowledgeable about Catholicism and stuff. I left Catholicism without bad feelings and stuff.
That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So, but I know with Catholicism, there's a traditionalist branch of Catholicism that's always been anti-Vatican II and stuff. And I think the traditionalists are going Trumpist in the Catholic Church.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, so that's a tough thing and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know and stuff, but yeah, but yeah, I know it's a big problem with evangelicals and stuff, but there's a divide. Evangelicals of color tend to be anti-Trump where it's only white evangelicals that tend to be Trumpists and stuff. So
Yep.
I don't know how that's going to get settled within the church and stuff. So yeah, but I guess that's not since it's not our denomination, we don't have to worry about it. Yeah, but in some ways we do though, because they imprint on the rest of America what a Christian is, and that's the problem you mentioned the first time, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, sorry. Does that make you tough as a pastor then? I mean, are you constantly finding yourself when somebody finds you're a pastor, you're always mentioning, I'm not that type of, Christian.
Um, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Was it that way in Baltimore too, or
Yeah.
okay? Because I'm thinking you were in Baltimore during Trump's first term, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've had to say I'm not that kind of Christian before Trump too. I mean, it's the before Trump, it was evangelicalism, and Christianity had a stereotype that Christians were just wanted to convert you to Jesus, right? They just wanted to preach
Yeah,
and get you to accept Jesus into your heart, and they were all fundamentalists.
yeah,
And so I've always been a progressive Christian, at least since college, and so always had to say not that kind of Christian.
yeah. Okay. Oh, I'm glad you stuck to it. Yeah, I grew up the clash between John Paul and liberal Catholics and stuff. And so I think just because of that, I always knew there was a more liberal branch of Catholicism, but also a more liberal branch of Christianity and stuff. I think that helped me and stuff. So okay, well, okay. I'm curious. What kind of books have you been reading that have been helpful for you um, during this Trump era? And if not books, just what materials have you been reading that have been helpful?
Yeah, I've I'm doing this sermon series on Revelation, so I've read a number of books on Revelation. Um, but one of my favorites have been Walter Wink, who's a theologian maybe in the 80s. I think he's passed now. But he wrote a series called the Powers trilogy. It's
Oh,
engaging the powers, no, unmasking the powers, engaging the powers, and then I don't remember what the third one was.
oh, okay. That's okay. I can move it later and stuff.
Oh, okay,
Okay. That was my niece. I think she was the one who was calling.
Okay.
So, the one who makes me feel like an obsolete leftist. That's her.
Invite her in the conversation.
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
Walter Wink wrote that trilogy is very dense. And somebody suggested to him that he should write a summary, and he wrote The Powers That Be
Yeah.
and A Theology for a New Millennium. So I was reading that. I read a lot of things at once sometimes. A book that I just devoured recently. Am I allowed to cuss on this podcast?
Oh yeah, sure. My YouTube videos don't get many views and stuff, so I don't think it matters.
There's a book by a guy called Mark Manson. He wrote The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Oh, okay.
And I really enjoyed that. I think he's kind of writing from a Buddhist perspective. But he's, really lots of cussing in the book, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
And his real premise is not that you don't give a fuck about anything, it's that you choose carefully what you care about.
Yeah.
And the value. And a lot of us try to care about everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can't. You just can't care about everything. You have to choose. And I've really enjoyed him.
Is it a mental health thing? To protect your mental health, you need to limit what you focus on.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's been really good. My daughter has me reading Fourth Wing. Have you heard of Fourth Wing?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's a really popular young adult romance novel about dragons and
Oh,
dragon
okay.
dragons. And it's really just trashy romance, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to get through it right now for my daughter.
Okay. It's not Harry Potter, I guess.
No, it's very similar of like young people in a school for
Yeah.
dragon riders,
Yeah.
but it's much more smutty than that.
Oh, okay. I never read the Harry Potter ones, but I heard they're really good books.
Yeah, they're very good. They're very good.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I just I read a bunch of books my friends recommend just so that we stay connected and stuff. So it's not naturally political. Except the last one we read is about Arlie. I forgot her name. It's about shame and how did the working class go Trump, right? And how can the left? Well, it's not actually how the left win them back, but why did places that were once solidly Democrat go Trumpist and stuff? And I guess part of it is what you were mentioning about with your experience in Michigan and stuff. The book kind of mentions a little bit about that too and stuff. So yeah. I don't know what the it's. I think part of it is I'm just trying to understand and stuff. So that's why I'm reading that and stuff. So okay. Well, my last question for you and stuff, since I think my niece is telling me to move my car, so at some point. So how did you become a vegan and stuff? And okay, for which one of your favorite foods would you recommend to someone who's not a vegan?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I became vegan about 9 years ago after I watched a movie called Cowspiracy. So that was in 2016. The movie came out in 2014.
Okay.
And Cowspiracy it's like a documentary that really makes the case for the environmental harm that's done by by animal agriculture and by the concentrated animal farming. Yeah. But then I said like, all right, I'm going to be vegan because I don't want to hurt the environment. But then what I found is that kind of opened up my awareness to the suffering that animals experience in that modern industrial food system.
Oh,
what I think is mistreatment.
yeah,
And what motivates me still to be vegan all these years later is that mistreatment. It's like it's kind of become intolerable for me. And so if I look at, a hamburger or bacon or something, I'm like, that looks delicious. I remember what that tastes like. I'd like to eat that. And if it was just about saving the environment, I probably would, because I
yeah,
think you wouldn't be able to resist. But when I think about the suffering that the animal went through,
yeah.
um, then I don't want to.
Oh,
And I'm kind of different than some vegans where I don't think I think human beings evolved to eat animals. I think that if I were a hunter and gatherer, I would be eating animals.
yeah,
Um, I think if I even lived on a farm where I was the caregiver for the animal and I had a personal relationship,
yeah,
I'd probably be open to using animal products and eating them.
yeah,
Um, but the disconnection in our modern society where animals become this commodity and all that suffering that happens because of that,
yeah,
that's enough to just make me be like, I don't want that in my body. I don't want that any part of that.
yeah. Okay, okay. Well, that's cool. Sounds like Paul McCartney. He became, I think, I don't know if he's a vegetarian or if he's a vegan, but he no longer eats meat because one day he was eating like a pork chop or something, and then one of his sheep came and stuff, and it wandered into his kitchen. I guess he was eating like a lamb chop or something, and then when the sheep came, he decided similar reason as you and stuff. He
Yeah.
just couldn't. Yeah.
Well, I think Paul McCartney is the one who said, if slaughterhouses had glass walls, we would all be vegan or something like that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that and stuff. Yeah. I always thought he was cool and stuff. So, so, oh, okay. Do you have, okay, okay. I'm not a vegan and stuff. If you want to convert, if you want me to try out a vegan food and stuff, what would you recommend?
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's it.
I mean, a lot of the times people ask about vegan food and there's very simple things. Like, I mean, my diet is I eat a lot of peanut butter sandwiches. I eat a lot of fruit. I eat bananas and apples all the time.
Yeah.
I eat oatmeal. Oatmeal's like every single morning. I have oatmeal with peanut butter and cinnamon and raisins.
Oh,
Um, Hummus is always great, and everybody likes hummus.
yeah.
In terms of like the things that I have to prepare in advance, I make a really yummy kale salad. It's
Yeah.
just like kale and lemon juice and olive oil,
Yeah.
garlic and red pepper flakes.
Oh,
And it's just delicious. And dal. I really love red lentil dal.
what's
Uh,
that?
it's an Indian dish, so it's got garam masala, curry made with red lentils and coconut milk.
Yeah.
Um, and
Do
veg
vegans tend to like Indian food because it doesn't that go in that direction?
it's
Indian food.
everybody's different, but we do learn what restaurants might tend to have vegan options for us,
Oh,
and Indian food often has a vegan option.
okay.
So that's really good. Yeah.
Have you ever been to like an Asian restaurant where they have a vegan food that tastes like meat, but it's not meat?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Faux meat.
Yeah, yeah. There used to be one in Sunnyvale that my wife and I used to go to and stuff. I think it closed down and stuff, but it was pretty cool and stuff. But yeah, we liked it and stuff. But I I, I have a story. One time, these two friends of mine invited us to a vegan Thanksgiving and stuff. So my wife and I went and stuff. And at first we were kind of hesitant, but when we actually ate the food, it was great. It tasted great. It didn't look good at first, but then when we took our first bite, I think we munched out and we tried to get leftovers and stuff. So it was good food and stuff. And I think after that, the next few years we would always tell them right around September, October, gosh, we really loved that vegan Thanksgiving you took us to. That was such a wonderful, Thanksgiving and stuff. That was great, but they never invited us again.
Well, a lot of the traditional Thanksgiving food is vegan. So except for the turkey, I mean, you can
Yeah.
easily veganize mashed potatoes and sweet potato casserole and peas. Pecan pie is easy to do vegan. So
Uh,
yeah, I have more than enough to eat on on Thanksgiving. I don't really love faux meats. I don't eat a ton of faux meats. Sometimes just for like a junk food kind of snack, I'll have a faux something. Um, but mostly I like vegetables and beans and fruit
Oh, okay, okay.
and
Now,
sugar. I've got a sweet tooth. I love vegan ice cream.
oh, okay, yeah. Is there any near Palo Alto then, or no?
Yeah, Salt and Straw has great vegan options.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Well, you know one in San Jose now. That what's that place? The name of it? The Vegan Bistro and stuff in Santa Clara Street in downtown Santa. That's where I got my donut and stuff.
Uh,
It's a good tasting donut. So yeah. So oh yeah, yeah. And if you ever want church donuts and stuff, and you want it to be vegan,
they're
they're
not open on Sunday though. I would have you pick them up on the way to church, but they're not open on Sunday. That's,
okay.
that's another thing about vegan restaurants is they tend to be open weird hours. Um,
Oh,
and I think it's maybe because the market's limited, so they can't afford to be open 6 days a week. So
okay.
sometimes I've driven across town to get something vegan and it's like closed because it's not open on Mondays and Wednesdays or something.
Yeah, yeah. Are many people in First Presbyterian vegan? I'm curious.
No, there's two other people I think that are vegan
Uh,
right now. Yeah. And
okay.
one of them organizes a plant-based potluck about once a month.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm
Mhm.
guessing that when you're vegan and stuff, you get to know who the other vegans are quickly.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And I mean, it's nice being the pastor because at potlucks, people will usually try to accommodate my diet.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
It's good.
Okay. And do you find recipes you never knew before, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. 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 Well, thank you and stuff. Yeah. I think we're done with our questions and stuff. Is there anything you want to add or?
No, I don't think so. This has been really great. We really enjoyed the conversation, and yeah, maybe I'll interview you sometime and get to know you a little bit better.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Yeah, I'm just thinking I didn't really I did I'm at my dad's house right now and stuff. So I was tomorrow I'm gonna take him to some chores and stuff and I got to clean the house and the bathroom and stuff. But yeah, that's my life right now is house cleaning, watching a little bit of TV, taking a lot of naps and stuff. I'm finding in my 50s. I don't know if you're taking. I'm always assuming pastors are very busy, right?
Yeah, I mean, my schedule's all over the place. Sometimes I'll have like the middle of the afternoon off and I'll take a nap. Um, and I work in the morning and the evening. It just depends.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm finding naps are my best friend and
Oh, I
stuff.
love naps. Yeah, I love naps.
Oh, okay. So,
Speaking of authors, I'll tell you one more. Her name is Trish Hersey, I think is how you pronounce it.
yeah.
And she wrote Rest is Resistance. And
Oh,
she's a Black author who writes about the importance of resting and refusing to work all the time, which is what our capitalist economy wants us to do.
oh,
So
okay.
I highly recommend her book.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll put a list of those books at the end of this video and stuff.
Okay.
So, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you very much and stuff. And thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too and stuff. So.